Welcome back to ZNGP today. Marc Marquez stamped his authority at Mugello with a rare double victory, sprint race and main event, on a track that, on paper, didn't suit his daring style. Yet the Ducati debutant dismantled the field, extending his championship lead while navigating fierce rivalries both on and off track. Behind the scenes, team manager Davide Tardozzi and Márquez himself revealed what they really thought about victory celebrations, fan reactions, and family dynamics. Pecco Bagnaia's Mugello homecoming was expected to be a showcase of resilience and redemption. Instead, it unraveled into a performance riddled with frustration and unanswered questions. Despite a promising start, he slipped out of podium contention and now finds himself lost, literally and figuratively, in a season slipping away from his control. In a brutally honest debrief, Bagnaia admits that not only has he lost speed, but also clarity on how to regain it. As Ducati celebrates another triple podium at Mugello, all eyes remain fixed on the one man missing from that celebration, Francesco Bagnaia. Michel Pirro, Ducati's veteran test rider and sharp technical mind, offered an insider's perspective, balancing empathy, realism, and pointed insights into why Pecco isn't shining, and why his path to resurgence is perhaps the toughest in modern MotoGP. He's fighting Marc Marquez. Jorge Lorenzo knows champions. And after watching the drama unfold at Mugello, the five-time world champion didn't hold back. On DAZN, Lorenzo broke down the Pecco Marc clash, praised Alex Marquez's consistency, and ultimately made a bold declaration: the 2025 MotoGP title is Marc Marquez's to lose. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Despite Mugello's flowing layout favoring smooth lines, Marquez embraced full-throttle aggression. He knew the stakes, racing for an Italian factory on home soil, and decided it was worth pushing the limits to secure every point possible. "We took a lot more risks than in Aragon, but it was worth it." Marc Marquez. From the opening lap he hunted down opponents with unrelenting pace, setting a circuit record and showing tire mastery when it mattered most. The result: 37 crucial points and a statement that any track can become his territory. Marquez weathered boos from parts of the Mugello crowd, a rare sight for Ducati's star rider. Tardozzi wasted no time defending him, praising his composure and highlighting how Marc stood up not just for himself, but for every Ducati rider. "You've shown me you have character. It doesn't seem right to boo the winner, whoever it is." Tardozzi's statement. In a garage built on unity, Tardozzi's public backing reinforced the team's solidarity, reminding fans that victory transcends colors. Marquez spoke candidly about his tactics: a full-on gamble early to open a gap, then measured control as tire performance dipped. He knew Bagnaia would come on strong, so the plan was to strike first. "I played almost all my cards, and at the end I was able to adjust a little more," Marquez added. It was a chess match on wheels: attack when the moment arose, then defend with precision. Few riders blend instinct and strategy like Marquez, especially under championship pressure. Fighting alongside brother Alex adds a layer Marquez values above all. On one hand, they are direct championship rivals. On the other, they push each other to new heights off camera. Family comes before a world championship. Welcome to the world championship for the family. Their friendly rivalry fuels both, proving that behind every podium battle stands a bond stronger than any title chase. With Bagnaia 110 points adrift, Marquez knows the gap is no mere statistic. It's a buffer that must be managed carefully as the season heads into Pecco circuits like Assen. Next week we have another Pecco circuit. 110 points is already starting to be a considerable difference. Complacency isn't an option. Each round demands focus, especially when the calendar swings back to tracks Bagnaia has owned in the past. Mugello was a microcosm of Marc Marquez's 2025 season: audacious, unflappable, and strategically ruthless. Amid fan fervor and family rivalries, he's turned every challenge into an opportunity to extend his lead. If 110 points feels vast now, consider this. At this rate, even the most formidable challengers may only be racing for runner-up by year's end. Bagnaia launched confidently, staying in the fight during the early phase. But as soon as the front tire started to fade, the rhythm vanished. I did 6 laps where I had everything in place, then the front tire dropped. I tried them all. I was faster than Alex, but couldn't get close. It's the same story again. Bagnaia's statement. The turning point was lap 7, where front-end issues re-emerged. Despite riding at the limit, he couldn't engage in battle without risking a crash, ultimately surrendering his Mugello podium dream. This wasn't just another off day. The home crowd, the expectation, and the championship pressure combined into emotional overload. There's a lot of anger. I know what I can do, but I'm not in a position to fight. I risked a lot trying to follow them. It was like Aragon again. Bagnaia's body language was that of a champion spiraling, not through lack of will, but from an unexplainable void between him and the performance he knows he's capable of. Perhaps most concerning is Bagnaia's admission that no one can explain what's wrong or how to fix it. No one has been able to explain why I can't ride the way I used to. I can't get the bike to flow. I can't brake like Marc and Alex, or I risk losing the front. I feel movements, and I can't find solutions. For a former world champion to say he's in limbo, technically and mentally, should sound alarm bells in Bologna. Development is frozen, yet the gap to the top grows. With Ducati's development path frozen until 2026, reverting to the GP24 isn't an option, even if it offered him better front-end confidence. It's impossible. Everything's frozen. The risk of staying the course with a setup that doesn't suit Bagnaia grows with every race. Mugello should have been a confidence reset. Instead, it exposed a long-term performance crisis. Falling 110 points behind Marquez, Bagnaia concedes he's in no position to think about titles right now. I can't think about winning a title in races like this. I can only hope someone makes a mistake in front. If nothing changes, it'll be difficult. The championship fight isn't mathematically over, but mentally it might be. Pecco is fighting for survival, not supremacy. Assen is next, a track that magnifies front-end weakness. Pecco knows it could be another tough weekend. If I have the same problems at Assen as here, I'll push myself very hard. It's a cry for hope, perhaps a desperate one. But Bagnaia's grit remains intact. He's down, not broken. From using an old helmet to avoid extra risk, to vibrations from a rear tire hole letting Bagnaia through, every detail mattered. Using the new helmet? Not the time. I had a huge hole in the rear tire. It was vibrating a lot. In elite racing, small margins define big outcomes. Right now, all of them are tipping against Bagnaia. Pecco Bagnaia's ride at Mugello wasn't just a missed podium. It was a mirror reflecting a season spiraling off track. There are no quick fixes, no scapegoats, and no illusions. He's aware of what's slipping away, and perhaps what hurts most is that no one, not even within Ducati, can offer a roadmap back. If he's to reclaim his title, it'll take more than fast laps. It will take rediscovery. Pirro saw Mugello not as a regression, but a stagnation. While Ducati dominated the race results, Pecco's status quo remains unchanged. I don't see it as a step forward or backward compared to Aragon. We're at the same point, Pirro said. Ducati keeps refining, yet for Bagnaia, the improvement curve has plateaued. Mugello was another high-effort, low-reward performance, a cycle that's becoming all too familiar. Pirro defended Pecco's approach but acknowledged the strategic limitations of his current form. He's very strong under braking. When he's ahead, he's incredibly consistent. That's how he won 11 races last year. But this time, being behind made the front suffer. Bagnaia's hallmark dominance has always come from leading. In traffic, especially behind aggressive riders like the Marquez brothers, his style unravels. The opening 5 laps were electric, but they drained Bagnaia's tires and stamina without reward. It was an incredible 5 laps. He probably wasted his tires and energy at the start. He had to recalculate everything. Fighting to hang with the Marquez brothers is exhausting on every level. Bagnaia fought hard but failed to break through, and that toll was evident by the final laps. Despite whispers that the 2025 bike may be hindering Pecco, Pirro shut that theory down. Some details are different, but the useful combination to restore his form hasn't been found. The differences are minimal. The problem isn't the machinery. It's the rider-bike chemistry, and Bagnaia hasn't rediscovered that harmony since the GP25 arrived. In 2023, Bagnaia outfoxed Martin and Bastianini in close quarters. But now, he's up against 2 of the most aggressive and surgical overtakers in MotoGP. The Marquez brothers are on his level under braking, so it's hard to blame the bike or compare. Pecco no longer holds the edge in the one area he once dominated, braking battles. Against Marc and Alex, that's fatal. Pushing from behind with less grip and higher pressure made him vulnerable, physically and technically. When you push from the rear, pressure increases, grip drops, and you're forced into risky moves. He even lost the front during the race. Bagnaia rode near the limit, but without the benefit of race control. The physical consequences were visible, the mental ones may linger longer. If you want to understand Bagnaia's challenge in one line, Pirro delivered it with clarity and weight. We also have to recognize he's facing the strongest rider in history, who's approaching the duel calmly, and that makes things easier for him. Marquez isn't just fast, he's calm, mature, and deeply integrated into Ducati's structure. Bagnaia, once Ducati's anchor, is now being outshone within his own house. Pecco Bagnaia's performance issues are layered: tire management, braking limitations, and confidence erosion. But as Michel Pirro sees it, the biggest obstacle may not be mechanical. It's human. Because standing across from him on the grid is Marc Marquez, a legend reborn, on the same bike, in the same garage, chasing the same title. For Bagnaia to rise again, he won't just need answers, he'll need something extraordinary. Lorenzo saw Bagnaia's aggressive start not as brilliance, but necessity. We saw a more combative Pecco. It was the only option he had, given his lack of pace compared to Marc. Lorenzo's statement. Pecco threw everything into the opening laps. He tried to unsettle Marc early, taking advantage of the race's unsettled rhythm. But it wasn't enough. Once the race settled, Marc took control. While Bagnaia went all in, Marquez played the long game. Marc, on the other hand, was the opposite, more conservative, as we're used to seeing now. Experience over emotion. Marquez knew Mugello wasn't his best track, but his patience and tire management turned a vulnerable situation into domination. Jorge gave Alex Marquez credit for quietly becoming the silent threat. I think Alex has a tough time with Marc, but he's not making mistakes. It's always a 1-2. He's just 40 points behind. Consistency is king. Alex may not have Marc's explosiveness, but his relentless point scoring keeps him in the hunt. If anyone can capitalize on a slip from Marc, it's him. With Bagnaia struggling and Marc thriving, Lorenzo sees one outcome. Only a major injury to Marc could take the championship away from him. He's the best rider on the best bike, and he's proving it. The odds are stacked heavily. With dominance, health, and momentum all in his pocket, Lorenzo believes Marc Marquez already holds the winning hand. Mugello isn't tailor-made for Marc, yet he's still won. He hasn't won here since 2014. There are chicanes and right-handers, which are not his strengths. But he's always there, fighting and dominating. If Marc can win at Mugello, he can win anywhere. The psychological blow to rivals is massive. Even on his weaker tracks, he's in control. Lorenzo didn't hesitate to weigh in on the Marquez-Bagnaia clash. If there was contact, it was Pecco's fault. He was completely out of position. He got very close and gave Marc that collision. Another sign of desperation from Pecco. Marc stayed composed. The contact, for Lorenzo, was the result of Bagnaia overreaching, another moment where Marc kept his head, and Pecco lost his. Jorge also addressed the controversial move involving Franco Morbidelli and Maverick Viñales. Morbidelli didn't judge the distances well enough. That's why Maverick was at risk. The theme of Mugello? Judgment under pressure. Whether it was Bagnaia, Morbidelli, or Viñales, those who misjudged paid the price. Jorge Lorenzo's verdict is clear: Marc Marquez is operating on another level. Whether it's speed, tactics, or mentality, he's outclassing the field, and doing it calmly. Bagnaia may still fight, and Alex Marquez may still believe, but unless something dramatic happens, MotoGP 2025 already has its king. Thanks for watching ZNGP today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!